what a beautiful day to be on the river with Ed Ward.
Very nice day, especially considering how cold it was this morning.
Good cast there. Ed is a master of the Skagit style of casting and fishing. He developed this with some friends in northern Washington maybe 15 years ago. Is that about right?
Actually, probably started about 20, but I think it really gelled together probably about 15 years ago, yeah.
20, maybe 15 years ago. This became a popular way of fishing because in the winter time for steelhead, we're trying to cast a very big fly, get it close to the bottom with a sinking tip line, and also we're fishing in places without a lot of room behind us. So these guys figured out some way to make these longer casts possible using a very light rod. Would you say this is a typical style of rod, or is this something kind of newer style, Ed?
This is type of rod that I like to use. It's got the right flex for it, and this one here is very light, but yeah, it's a style of rod that we've been using for a while. So what we do here is we use the rod working against the water tension to load it up for us, so that by the time we get to the casting stroke, we don't have to apply a lot of physical effort. If you watch here, you can see right there, and then not much physical effort into the actual casting stroke to get that line to go out there.
I noticed when you bring the line upriver for your anchor that the line can stay there a little longer than a normal spey cast, traditional or Scandinavian. Talk about this anchor with the Skagit cast. Why can you do that?
Well, this is what separates the Skagit cast from all the other types of spey casting, is what we call a sustained anchor. And that in traditional and underhand cast, the anchor is very brief, which is basically called a touch and go. But for our style casting, we have what we call sustained anchor, which is where we want to form as much water tension onto the line as possible. So we actually let the line sit, at least, you know, enough to see all movement come out of the line come to a dead stop or become very stationary from any momentum from the pickup portion, which would be, this is the pickup here. When I get to this point, I want to stop long enough for all line movement to be gone right there.
And do you think this is kind of a simple system for people to learn, more easy than traditional, or what do you think about that?
I have taught lots of people this in my guiding between Alaska and here in Washington for steelhead, and we can get people actually fishing with this system in about 40-45 minutes. I'm not saying you're going to be a master at it, but you will be fishing at it in a very short time. I think that's probably quicker than any of the other methods of spey casting.
I see this as a perfect method for sea trout fishing in most of Europe, or even in places for small salmon, the grills, where the fish aren't so big because the rod is very light action, and I think that this would be a fantastic method for small fish.
Absolutely. I think there are a lot of new venues that this type of spey casting can take the fly fishermen to. Being able to use a light rod and cast big flies. If you have that situation or where you need to sink the fly down, but you need to do it on a light rod for, let's say, smaller fish, 1-pound fish, 2-pound fish, this is a system to do it. You can use a light rod like a 5 or 6 weight, cast big flies, cast heavy sink tips, get your depth if you need to, and not be using equipment so large that it overcomes the size of the fish.
Can you also use a floating tip?
Absolutely. There's no difference on this. If I put an all-floating tip on here, I'd be making the same style of cast as what I'm doing right here.
So it's a very versatile. You use light tackle, and you have the flexibility of sinking tip, floating, small fly, big fly, and it's a light rod.
Absolutely.
That seems like a perfect combination.
Yeah, it's the only style I use, and I fish steelhead, trout. I fish from Alaska to British Columbia to Washington. I've been in Russia, and this is the only system I've had to use throughout them all.
Thank you, Ed. That was great explanation.
Thank you.